Good evening, everybody, and welcome. It is a Tuesday evening, and it is the night before a very important day in the world of protesting Scientology's abuse here in the UK. I will explain more very shortly, but let me say hello to those of you who are in the chat. SP Chef, marvelous darling, I will be watching on the replay. Well, hello to you, and hello to everybody watching on the replay crew. Thank you for joining. And hello to the 5 of you who are now members on the channel. Thank you for watching and continuing to support us. I gifted these memberships as a little way to say thank you to the community, those of you who have supported me throughout the last year or so. Karen is here and asks, will the council do the right thing or bend to the criminal will of Scientology? Stay tuned. That is a fantastic question and an excellent launching point. Now, when Karen here says a criminal organization, Scientology is a criminal organization. It has been convicted of fraud on multiple occasions in France, in Hungary, and there are many other instances of criminal activity going on within the Church of Scientology. Operation Snow White, for example, which was the largest infiltration of the US government in its history, which was a Scientology operation that was organized from St. Hill, its UK headquarters, back in the 70s and 80s. So what are we here talking about today? It's only going to be a short live stream. Essentially, St. Hill, Scientology's headquarters in the UK, are attempting to shut down protesters and make it illegal to protest outside St. Hill. And the first meeting of many will be happening tomorrow at Mid Sussex District Council. I'm fighting with every ounce of my being to protect the right for freedom of speech and for freedom of assembly. We have a very long battle ahead of us, but it is an important battle and it has huge ramifications nationally and internationally. So that's why it's so important we take this seriously. Essentially, St. Hill applied for what's called a public spaces protection order, which basically give the police more powers than they normally have in a certain area or a certain circumstance. And what they have requested is for the outlaw of protesting within a certain perimeter, a certain distance of the perimeter of St. Hill. They said that the protest last year at the IAS event was disruptive to them, disruptive to the local community, and it is persistent and it is ongoing and they're not happy about it. And that is the case that they have made. Obviously, the case that I am making is that we were not there protesting their so-called religious beliefs. We were there to make people aware that there is support available for those of you who are in Scientology that are looking to escape and leave. We're a community here to help people, and we won't stand for the abuse that's going on inside the organization. People can believe in whatever they want. We don't care. It's not our place to decide what you can and can't believe in, but it is our place to say you can't treat people the way you currently are. And that's why we were protesting. We did so on public land. We did not get in the way of anybody trying to enter the property to attend the event. We did not try to disrupt the event in any way. We didn't enter onto their property. We didn't jump over the fence. In fact, we complimented people going to the IES event on their dresses, on the way their suit was fitted, or, you know, the fact that their hair looked lovely. We said, we hope you have a nice event. We just want you to be safe and make sure you keep your credit card safe, because there are numerous reports of people not being able to leave that event without making some sort of donation to either the Scientology Ideal Program or the International Association of Scientologists or one of their many front groups. So we were there and we were quite civil. There were no police reports of harassment. There were no issues reported with our signs. And so we demonstrated peacefully within our right to do so. And I had many months, or no, it wasn't many months, it was many weeks. I think it was 4 weeks notice we had of the event. And I spent that time liaising with the police, with the council, with different authorities to make sure that our protest was the least disruptive possible. And we were just there to exercise our freedom of speech. However, that hasn't stopped Scientology from trying to make the case that our protests should be banned. And this is important because if this goes ahead, it would not only make it illegal to protest outside St. Hill for a minimum of 3 years, it's actually indefinite. There's no end date to a public spaces protection order, but it will also lead the way for other councils across the UK to look at the ruling that would potentially be made in Mid Sussex and implement similar public space protection orders outside all Scientology buildings, property, churches, whatever you want to call them, in the entirety of the UK. So it's really important that we get this right, and it's really important that our voice is heard and that we come out as people who stood by our freedom of speech and our right to assemble. Now, tomorrow is the first of many meetings. It is a scrutiny committee. The actual committee is called the Scrutiny Committee for People and Communities at Mid Sussex District Council. They are meeting at the council offices and in Haywards Heath at 7 p.m. tomorrow. And this is a specially called meeting with a couple of other things on the agenda, but the main thing is to review a report that was sent by the Deputy Chief Executive of Mid Sussex District Council in order to review St Hill's application. I read through this document in a previous stream. Let me just get it up here. So I'm not going to read it all to you here on this stream, but the link is in the description if you want to read it. This is the report from the Deputy Chief Executive about Scientology's application, which they submitted on the 15th of July through their lawyer, Peter Hodkin. Basically explains why this public spaces protection order needs to be put in place. So tomorrow is the first meeting. No decisions are going to be made tomorrow in terms of whether there should or shouldn't be a public space protection order. However, it is up to the committee to decide whether or not this application should be heard. And my understanding is tomorrow the committee will be meeting to review the report from the Deputy Chief Executive, and they will then recommend that this be reviewed by a full council cabinet meeting at a later date. So it says here in the document, the recommendations from the executive is that the scrutiny committee note the contents of the report and note that cabinet will make a decision following the appropriate process and endorse and recommend to cabinet to consult on making a PSPO. That is what the chief executive is asking the committee to do. The committee, of course, doesn't have to do it. The committee may decide, having reviewed the report and spoken to people like myself, that it's actually not necessary for a PSPO to be debated or consulted on, and they may recommend that it's not necessary to take this any further. I highly doubt it, but it is possible. If you want to read this report, you can do so on the Mid Sussex District Council website. It is a very lengthy report. You can also see the agenda for the meeting on their website. Again, the link is in the description. This is the agenda for the meeting at 7 p.m. tomorrow. There are a couple of other things: appointing a new vice chairman, declarations of interest. Now, interestingly, there are two members of the council who are sitting on the scrutiny panel who currently feature in Scientology propaganda video material available on their website. There are two councillors, Councillor Mockford and Councillor Whitaker, who currently feature on Scientology.tv's documentary about St Hill. And you can see Councillor Whitaker, when he was mayor of East Grinstead, accepting a big cheque on stage at an IES event. You can see him shaking hands with David Miscavige, the leader of the Church of Scientology. And Councillor Mockford is also seen in the video talking about the wonderful support St Hill have given the local community and how surprised she was at how lovely and helpful they have been. These videos are publicly available on Scientology's website and have been shared on Scientology's official promotional channels for a while now. So it's going to be interesting to see whether they declare that they have an interest in this matter and therefore they cannot be impartial and sit themselves out of this meeting. Who knows? It's their decision. I have told the council that this is the case, and I personally believe it would be unfair for those two people particularly to have any say on the matter, because they are clearly featured in promotional materials. They are pro-Scientology. So therefore, it's not quite right, in my opinion, that they have any say in this matter. But we will have to wait and see tomorrow whether they are excluded for the meeting or not. But the agenda is available on the Mid Sussex District Council website. And you can follow it along on their YouTube channel. Mid Sussex District Council usually live stream all of their council and committee meetings. Again, there is a link in the description. This is their official page. And you can see if you go to the live tab, just like you would have to watch this video on my channel, if you go to Mid Sussex, click live. Tomorrow, there will be a new live stream popping up at 7 p.m. UK time, which is 2 p.m. Eastern in America. And you can watch the proceedings live. The view won't really include me or the public gallery, because the public gallery is actually situated, I believe, upstairs to the back. You'll probably see us in the corner. However, I have asked, I am not being given the opportunity to speak or ask any questions tomorrow, which I personally feel is a little bit unfair, considering the fact that they are reading out a report that was made based on Scientology's information and their application. I think it's only fair that they should give the opportunity to the people opposing this decision to also speak. However, I understand if this Public Spaces Protection Order committee does go forward, there will be a lengthy public consultation period in which our views will be heard. I have, over the last week since this was announced, been liaising with various people at the council, with legal representatives and various other officials with regard to what I can do to make sure our voice is heard as protesters, and what the community can do to support. And I have been very surprised to be welcomed by the council. I've had a very different response to the response I got when I started engaging with East Grinstead Town Council last year. East Grinstead Town Council, when I complained about their undue influence and relationship with the Church of Scientology, I was shot down. I was told not to speak about it publicly. I was asked not to share information about it on social media. I was called a vexatious bully. And the East Grinstead Town Council are yet to apologise, despite the Information Commissioner's Office ruling that my requests for Freedom of Information Act, for example, information through that, was not vexatious. They are yet to apologize, but it just did indicate that they do have a tight, close-knit relationship with Scientology. Mid Sussex District Council, on the other hand, I have received a far better response so far in my dealings with them on this matter. I've not been so impressed with their dealings with other issues, such as the planning permission that Scientology don't have for their temporary structure that they use to host the IES event. The planning rules mean that if you have a structure up for 28 days or less, you don't need planning permission. However, the tent that they build in the back garden of St. Hill has been up for more than 28 days already, and I have reported this to the planning department at Mid Sussex, who have basically come back and said, we don't care because it's temporary structure. And I said, yeah, but there are rules in place for a reason, and if the rules say 28 days, it should be 28 days that you enforce, not any other length of time that you've come up with. So that's another battle that I'm fighting at the moment. There's also issues with Highways Authority and the blocking of the public right of way and the planting of trees and such that Scientology have done in order to get in the way of protesters. That's a whole nother issue. This issue is specifically about the right and the freedom to protest. And this is important because it has national and international ramifications. That is what the report from Mid Sussex District Council says. It notes the fact that this can be extrapolated and it will lay the groundwork for future public space protection orders if it does go ahead in other districts, in other councils. So it's really important that we fight our best to ensure that our right to assembly and our freedom of speech is not taken away by Mid Sussex District Council as a result of Scientology's request that they do so. Now, let's not forget, Scientology policy is to shut down and harass and intimidate critics into silence. The policy actually has the word destroy in it. It's policy to destroy anyone that speaks up against the organization. And I think it's really, really telling that they are trying to use the council to enforce their own policy of silencing critics. It is a human right to protest. It is a human right to have the freedom of speech. And so if this does go through, it's going to have very serious consequences for the wider protest community at large, not just the anti-Scientology protests, not just the stop Scientology abuse protests, not just the TikTokers who are live streaming outside ideal orgs. This is going to have ramifications on any and all religious groups, abusive organizations, cults. Any freedom of assembly will potentially be affected by this order. Because Scientology haven't just requested that they stop, protests that are against their beliefs, for example. It just says any and all gatherings and demonstrations should be banned. And that's, I think, particularly important when you consider that we weren't there protesting their beliefs. We weren't there saying, you guys believe in space aliens and you guys are crazy and blah, blah, blah. We didn't actually mention any of their religious beliefs. We were there simply to let them know, if you need help leaving or if you decide you want to go, we are here to support you. There's a community here to help you, and we won't stand for the abuse that's going on inside the organization. So there wasn't even a clause in this public space protection order that talks about the type of protest or the message of the protest. And the messaging is something that's really, really important that I've been focusing on since the first protest that I organized last year. So all of that to say, tomorrow at 7 p.m, I will be at the Mid Sussex District Council committee meeting. Like I said, I won't have the opportunity to speak or ask any questions, but I will be there. I will be watching it all unfold live, and I wish that you guys would be there too on the live stream on their YouTube channel. Please watch it. I'm not sure if I'm allowed to live stream inside the council chamber or not. I will ask when I get there, and if I'm allowed, of course I will. But if I'm not allowed, I will do a recap when I get home afterwards and let you know how it all went down. But I think it's really important to note that, look, this isn't a decision's not going to be made tomorrow. The council have basically suggested that because of the importance of this particular issue, they want to engage in months of scrutiny, months of consultations, and they want to assess the impact of our demonstration against the local community. And so they want to observe our protests this year and take notes and speak to all the protesters. They also want to observe Scientology's engagement with the protesters and will continue to do so. They also want to speak to local residents and people in the local area who may be affected about the protests and about their impact. I think it's really important to note that the thousands of people traveling to St. Hill to attend the IES event is going to have a more detrimental impact on the local community than the small handful of us protesters who are standing on the grass verge with some signs and a couple of chants. The large event that they are hosting is going to have a bigger impact. So in my opinion, it's laughable that they are trying to say our protest was so disruptive it needs to be banned. But that doesn't mean it's plain sailing and it's easy for us to carry on with this and we're not under any sort of threat. This is a really serious issue, and it's something that I will fight tooth and nail to defend our rights and our freedoms, which is not something I thought I would ever say. I am here because I want to stop the abuse in Scientology. I want to help people escape and leave and rebuild their lives if they choose to. I'm not here to fight for freedom of speech and all that sort of stuff, but that's where we are. Scientology have turned this into a very large human rights issue, and that's why I'm going to be fighting my hardest to try and defend it. And I need your support in doing so. This isn't about me. This isn't about you. It isn't about anybody. This is about the whole protest movement and the whole right to freedom of speech and so on. So it's really important we get this right, and I really need your help in doing so. So please do share the message, and please show your support online by liking, commenting, sharing, subscribing, all that sort of stuff. I'm having to spend a large amount of money on things like travel, on meeting with lawyers and all of that sort of stuff. So if you can contribute financially, I would really appreciate any coffee donations and PayPal, that sort of thing. We are at the start of a months-long process. To give you an idea, in this report on the Mid Sussex website, it looks like this is going to be going on until at least January. That is the timeline they have given for the consultation period. There is a time later on down the line in a couple of months' time when they will open up public consultation to the wider community, at which point I will ask you guys to get involved, to write to the council and give your thoughts on the matter and so on. Now is not the time to do that. They haven't opened the consultation yet. This is just the first starting point. They haven't even agreed that this needs to be reviewed properly by the council yet. That's what they're doing tomorrow. If they do go ahead and submit it for the full cabinet to review, they will then start, that will trigger the process, and I will keep you guys informed on how that proceeds and when the right time is, when public consultation opens and so on and so forth. So at this point in time, I'm just asking for your support in the comments, with sharing, with any donations of any kind to help with the legal costs and so on. That would all be really appreciated. And when it comes to public consultation, I'll let you know, and I will of course advise on what the council suggests the best course of action is for you guys to have your say and get your comments in and that sort of thing. But now, not just yet. That's in a couple of months' time. But I wanted to come on here and let you guys know what's going on, what I'm doing tomorrow, and what to expect over the coming months. So thank you so much for joining me. Maxine says, well done, Alex. Thank you. Birthday boy Tony, Troy, sorry, says, thanks for the membership. And it's my birthday. Well, happy birthday, Troy. I hope you're having a wonderful day. Vanessa is here. Keep up the good work, Alex. Thank you, with the little infinity sign. Drop Short Media. Hey, Brad, how's it going? Great work, Alex. Thank you so much for joining. Susan King says, fighting the good fight, Alex. I wish you all the best. Thank you. And Haggis Basher, a little local collusion. Yes, exactly. And this is the thing. It's not just a local issue. It's of national and international significance. And the local council agree with that. They've noted in the report that this is a significant matter. And they also are under the microscope. They realize the press are watching. They realize there are a lot of eyes on this issue. So I'm really thankful for Mid Sussex District Council for taking this matter seriously and saying, hey, we're not going to rush into anything here. We're going to take our time. We're going to look at everything properly. We're going to review everything, and we're going to make an assessment before we come in to any decisions about it. And that's really, really important that they do this process correctly. And so I'm thankful for that. I just wish that we were given the opportunity to speak tomorrow. But nonetheless, it does give me the opportunity to meet all the people who are involved and potentially rub shoulders with some of the councillors who will be making decisions tomorrow after the meeting. And so I'm looking forward to that opportunity, but I can only get there with your support. So if you can donate or support financially, that would be really helpful, because I need to get the train down to Haywards Heath and back again, and so on and so forth. So thank you so much for listening. If you aren't able to support in a financial way, absolutely fine. The best and most effective way to support us as activists and as protesters is to engage online, is to share this video, to comment down below when the live stream's over, to share it on other social medias, on Twitter and that sort of thing, and get the message out there. The more people that are aware our freedom of speech and right to protest is under threat, the more people will engage in this and the more support we will therefore have. So that's really, really important. So thank you guys. I'll keep you all in the loop. And as always, I'm not fucking about.